to another video. As you may know, this month we are talking about fibromyalgia more than usual because it is Fibromyalgia Awareness Month. So I'm going to be trying to make a lot more bite-sized videos about fibromyalgia, more geared towards people who don't have it than people who do, so that maybe our family and friends and people in our lives can understand what it's like to live with our condition and we can raise awareness together. In today's video, I'm going to be listing some of the things that we have to worry about when we have a chronic illness, specifically fibromyalgia. These are some of the things that we have to worry about that we wouldn't have to if we weren't ill. So it's things that I don't think people realize that impact our lives, and things that people don't realize would be difficult for us, because I think everybody knows that fibromyalgia entails chronic pain and chronic fatigue, even though I don't think they realize what that means like in our everyday life. But everybody sort of knows that about fibromyalgia, but they don't know all of the other struggles that come behind it, all the other symptoms. And so I made a list. It's my favorite thing to do. So here we go. Number one is all the meds and all of the pharmacy trips and having to go to the pharmacy and to the doctor to get more prescriptions and all of the logistics that are involved in all of that. I know in some countries you can order them online and they'll get delivered to your house, which, I mean, you have no idea how lucky you are. And maybe you live within walking distance of a pharmacy, so it might not be that difficult for you. But for me, I don't live within walking distance of a pharmacy, and I have to get driven, but I don't drive. And also my doctor is in another part of the country. And it's just a lot of logistics, and we have to remember if we've taken it or not, and take it at certain times, because certain medications will make us really sleepy and really drowsy, and we can't take them too late in the evening, because then in the morning we're not going to be awake. And it's just a whole thing. It's a lot more complicated than it seems, and a lot of times medications that work for other people don't work for us, or not in that dosage, or not in that way. And we have to there's a lot of trial and error, and it takes a long time to figure out what works for us. And some people never figure out medication, and some people are happy without medication, and some people aren't. And it's just a whole thing. Number two of things that people don't realize that we have to worry about is the weather. Because if it's going to be raining, if it's going to be cold, if the weather's going to be changing, we are going to feel our symptoms worsen. Today, it's really rainy and cloudy and awful, so my symptoms are worse. During spring, when the weather is really, really unstable, that's the worst for me. But in the summer, if it's too hot, I can't go out during the day because I'm going to get fatigued and I'm going to get dehydrated and I'm going to be sick. If I go out in the winter, I have to worry about how cold it's going to be, and if my hands are going to go numb, and if my feet are going to go numb, because they will do that with the cold. And if it's windy, and if it's rainy, we have to worry about all these things, and other people don't. And you have no idea how lucky you are. Number three, I think, is the biggest thing that people don't realize, and that takes up so much of our energy and our time and our mental stability, is how much planning goes into whatever we do. How much planning it goes into going to an event, going to the cinema, going on a weekend away, traveling anywhere. We have to put so much thought into it. How much medication do I need to take? Do I need to worry about taking my mobility aids or not? Will the place that we're going to be accessible? Will they actually be accessible? Because sometimes places say they are accessible and then you get there and then they're not. And please don't do that. If you have an establishment or anything where you provide a service, please actually make it accessible, because disabled people still deserve to go places. And it's really kind of awful if you are not accessible. You are basically, and you're saying we are not allowed in your space, and that's really unfair and not very nice. So yeah, anyway, detour, sorry, but let's keep going. For example, am I going to go alone? And then, do I have enough energy to get back home by myself? Do I need to get driven? Do I need to get the bus? Which bus do I need to get? And where is it? And how much do I have to walk? And are there going to be benches by it so that I can sit down if I'm tired? We plan stuff way, way ahead, because we have to think about all of these things. We have to research and we have to worry about it. But then we don't know until the actual day how we're going to feel, and if we're going to be too ill to go, and if we're going to be too ill to do that thing or not. And it's really, really frustrating to put that much thought into stuff and then not be able to go. But a lot of times my partner will tell me, if you don't want to go, if we can't go, it's okay, there will be another chance. But I'm always no, I planned it. I worked so hard for this. I'm going. And then afterwards we're going to be crashing, and we have to plan for that as well. So we have to make sure that after this big event and this big adventure, we're not going to have anything programmed for like the next few days so that we can rest and recover. Number 4 is making our house accessible. This is something I don't think people realize that takes a lot of work, and we have to actually think about and constantly improve on. I have to think about, like, I can't put my shoes on whilst I'm standing up, so I need to have a bench. There's just so many things I don't even know. Like, I have videos on this specifically, but like there's just so many things that go into it and things that we have to think about. Even, for example, when I buy laundry detergent, like we go to the store and I have to literally like pick up every single bottle there that we are considering buying. So we'll pick out which one we think we want to get, like the smell or whatever, you know. And then I have to actually like pick up the bottles and pick up the things, because we have to make sure that I can actually lift it and do it by myself. So sometimes we have to think about things like that, and we have to, like, at the store I have to think about, like, on a really bad day, can I use this? And is this going to be something that I'm going to be using all the time, or something that I'm only going to use on bad days, or something that I'm only going to use on good days? And we have to think about stuff like that. Number 5 is, will this make me flare? Now, a flare-up in fibromyalgia, or any other condition really, is when your symptoms are a lot more intense and a lot more drastic than they normally are. My normal is like I can do a few things, I have some energy and I have some level of activity, but when I'm flaring, I might not be able to do anything. I might be able to do some things, but not others, and like we have different intensity flares and stuff. And when we do stuff, we have to think about, will this make me flare? So if I want to go to the cinema tonight, I have to think about how much energy I have, how do I feel, and if doing this thing will help me like feel better, and if it will obviously like use up some energy but I'll be fine, or if it will use too much energy. So I have to think about how much energy I have, and if this thing that I want to do will consume more energy than what I have. And if it will, it's not a good idea. But sometimes we have to do things that will take up more energy than what we planned and that what we can spend. So we're sort of borrowing energy from the future, and it means that we will have a worse fatigue flare from that. Number 6 is our financial independence. Now, being ill, as contrary to popular belief, people think that we get paid for disability, and like that it's great, and that, you know, we don't have to do anything. And I don't think people understand that how high our expenses are. Like, we have health insurance, we have all of medical appointments, all of our medication, all of everything, like all of the extra things that aren't really like medical, but they, like I said, help make things more accessible. So like more expensive detergent that has that special bottle that you can pick up. Things like that, like all of this is more expensive than what is like the minimum necessary. And some people do have a disability like help from the government, but I don't personally, and a lot of people also don't. And even if they do have it, it's not a very high amount of money. Sometimes it doesn't cover all of the expenses that they have, and also the cost of living apart from their medical expenses. So it would cover one or the other, but not both. And a lot of us have to have like a second job, or have to struggle really hard to like make a living. I work as hard as I can, but if I'm too sick to work, there's nothing I can do about that. And obviously, like, we have to account for that. We have to prepare for that. And it's really damaging to us to not be financially independent, because it feels so bad to constantly be a burden on other people, like to constantly have to ask for help, like physically, to do things, and then still have to ask for help financially. Like, if I want to treat myself to something nice, or if I want to like do something that I really want, I have to plan for that way ahead, and I have to set myself a limit. And it's a once in a blue moon kind of thing, because obviously otherwise we don't have the money to do that. But then I have 60 or 80 euros of worth of pharmacy bills that I have to pay, but like I don't want to spend my money on that. I'd much rather buy 3 or 4 dresses with that money, but there's nothing I can do about that. So it's really hard for us to balance financial independence, and it's really hard to attain it. I think people think that it would be a nice vacation to like not have to worry about things like that, and to just like have all the free time and stuff. And it's nice when you're on vacation, sure, but it's not nice to never be able to do anything for yourself. It's not nice to never be able to buy your partner a present with your own money. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Number 7 is, will people be giving me a hard time or like make mean comments or just be unpleasant to me for using my mobility aid or disabled parking or any kind of accessibility feature like the lift instead of the stairs, or sitting down in the post office? Healthy people often will police other people who are using priority seats or who are using disabled toilets and things like that, and you will make really mean comments to those people like, oh, you're not disabled, there's nothing wrong with you, why are you using this? And you don't know what people are going through. Most disabilities and most illnesses are not visible to the naked eye, and people, if they're out and about, they want to be enjoying themselves, and it's not your job to police the bathroom, and it's not your job to police the parking lot. If we have used that toilet, chances are that we need that. You don't know if I am ill or not. You don't know if I'm disabled or not just by looking at me. And it's none of your business. And I think people think that they're doing disabled people a service and that they're helping us by like getting all the fakers and the posers to move out of our spots. But the truth is, you're harming us more than you think you are. You're doing more harm than good, because I think the amount of people who actually fake a disability to use that toilet, like, it's not that glamorous. It's all these weird wires and a lot of like things to hold on to that sometimes are a bit overwhelming, honestly. And you don't, why would you fake that? And if somebody is doing that, the amount of people who will be faking to use the disabled toilet or like the disabled parking lot, it's negligible next to the amount of people with invisible illnesses who are using that, but you are taking it away by being awful to them. So, sorry, I just went on a rant there, but people shouldn't be made to feel like they have to prove their disability and their illness to strangers to be able to use things that have been implemented by law to protect them and to help them. So I think like it's a really twisted thing. And if you are not disabled, just use your mind. Like, if you don't need that space, and if you don't need that parking spot, and if you don't need that toilet, don't use it. It's really that simple. And then everybody else who does need it can use it and doesn't need to be policed. Number 8 is how much energy we actually spend on things that normal people would take for granted and people that do every day, and how hard it is to manage our energy levels. Things like, for example, it might be like your regular thing to wake up, have a shower, get dressed, have breakfast, go to work, and all of that honestly sounds exhausting to me. Doing all of those things, waking up, showering, and getting ready for work, like breakfast, doing my makeup, whatever, takes me like 3 hours in the morning, because it takes me so long to wake up. It takes me long to shower, it takes me long to get dressed, it takes me long to do everything because my body is slow and stiff and my brain is slow and stiff, and we have to constantly be like mapping out what we're going to be doing and how much energy we're going to be using, and should I be saving energy, should I be not. And it's like a constant worry that we have about our energy levels, because we don't want to be left like stranded. We don't want to be in a situation where we don't have any energy left to do something that we want to do or that we might really need to do. Number 9, I think, is the last one. I think it's kind of a repetition, but is, will there be stairs? Because I worry about that constantly. If there was a fire in my building, how would I get out? Because I live on the 7th floor, and there are just stairs and 2 lifts. And if there's a fire and the lifts aren't working, I will die, because I cannot rush down the stairs that quick. Like, I never thought that stairs would become my enemy, but it has. Anyway, so those are some things that people don't know we have to worry about and that we have to think about constantly or semi-constantly about to accommodate for our illness, and just things that we worry about that we wouldn't have to if we didn't have a chronic illness or if people were nicer. I think I kind of went off on a rant there, but what else is new? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like and a comment. Let me know other things that you have to worry about that I maybe didn't mention. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. You can also consider becoming a member on Patreon, because it would help me a lot and it would mean that I can make more videos and keep creating content. And I think that's all of the things that I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!